We are being recorded
Mhm.
for your satisfaction. I'm just gonna have to figure out, I'm gonna double record it because I am, that kind of give me redundancy, cover my skinny white behind. And here we are, another episode of Triple T. Thank you guys for showing up and supporting each other, especially me. Well, it's amazing how fast 7 days go by. Kind of like the adage of life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. And hopefully it's not going too fast because you've got too much shit going on. I need help. Well, I had a couple of,
Now I can hear you guys.
there we are. Had a couple of topics to go over to keep me from chasing too many squirrels. And a couple of them are going to be, I'm going to say, conversationally driven. And the first one being vague ambiguities when talking to other people. For there's all sorts of reasons to get really good at being able to specifically be vague, especially when telling stories and stuff like that. I crack myself up all the time. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. Um, we learned this, ironically, first as children. Anytime we were asked to snitch out a sibling or a friend, or the cookies all disappeared, and what the heck happened here, and all of a sudden we are the most amazing, specifically vague storytellers without training ever. Well, and then and poof, they were gone. Am I right? If any of you have kids, I know. Raise your hand if you've heard that amazing story that led nowhere. The other reason I'm bringing this up is obviously in this day and age where everybody has a lawyer on speed dial, and dealing with the type of information and stuff that we deal with HIPAA practices, we definitely need to be extremely good at specific vagueness and learning how to tell stories, and because there's so much power in stories, especially with the stuff that we learn from clients, and being able to learn protocol downloads. Lord knows I've been blessed with enough of them, but in sharing them, we have to be extremely careful in how we describe where we got the information from, who was included. And so I wanted to go over that again this week, especially for you guys that are looking at getting into this type of work a little more professionally. You may recall last week I was blessed with being able to share with you a success story of one of my clients. Can any of you describe to me whether or not you know her Anybody? Good, then I did it successfully. Chances are very, very low, I hope, that any of you actually know who she is. But I'm going to share a story that I learned this a long time ago because my best friend's dad, my rich dad, made it very clear that when you're telling certain stories about certain people, that you make sure that you never link names to the people. And the person involved in this knows that I tell this story, and she still talks to me. You'll understand why when I tell the story. In '88, I went out to Yellowstone to work, and yes, the year of the Great Fire, yay! Another one of my amazing experiences at, holy cow, thank you, Lord. But it was dorm styling, and one of the guys that worked there, a couple of rooms down, found out that we lived fairly close to each other. So of course our rapport jumped up quickly. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, do you know blah, 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 also goes by the nickname blah, blah, blah?" Well, where I grew up in the village of 187 people, yeah, that's there's only one person. But I was like, yeah, I think I kind of know who you're talking about. And so he went on to tell some accomplishment stories, including ooh, this and that, and all, and all sorts of interesting details. And I just let him go on. And he continued to use the name throughout his descriptives. Finally, when he ran out of stories, I said, you know, I think I might even have a picture of the person you're talking about. And he was like, really? I went, yeah, just a sec. I'll go back to my room and see if it's the same person. My mom had just sent me a picture of my sister's graduation with my brother in it. So I bring the picture back and I go, that the person? Oh yeah, and odd. Wait a minute. Who's the dude with her? So that's my brother. Oh, did she go out with him too? I said, no, that's my brother too. And his face turned bleached sheet white. And all of a sudden backtracking and, oh, dude, and I said, you know, part of me wanted to do the big brother thing and, you know, beat the shit out of him. The other part of me looked at him and I went, don't ever tell stories linked to a name unless they are absolute glorifying stories that they would love to find out that you told about them. I've run into him a couple of times since. He's very nice to me. I've also asked him a couple of times if he's made the mistake of telling any stories attached to any names, and no, he learned his lesson quite well. He could probably be a doctor now, because I'm pretty sure that he can talk in vague specifics at a level that he never understood until 1988. So that's kind of a humorous portion of it. But when we think about the people that we're dealing with and the importance of having strong trust and rapport, even when I am talking to my clients, I'm very careful about how I describe certain things, and I like sharing stories, especially success stories, because there's a huge amount of power inside of stories. In fact, a lot of stuff that I do with clients will actually be in a storytelling situation with the medicine hidden inside the story and keeping it specifically vague enough for them to follow along and get the help that they came for. That being said, that segues into the next part about it was brought to me as the so what factor. And the so what factor, it was basically described as when you're telling a story or something like that, keep in mind, what does it add to the story? And it can, any part of it have the effect where people are like, so what? Going into detail is fine, but going into too much detail can be to the point where you can lose your clients quickly. You can lose your audience quickly. Um, I had a former girlfriend that finally I had to give her a code word to let her know that she had gone into the deep, dark depths of descriptives and didn't notice that people had dropped off. And that was simply so the grass was green. And the number of times she got mad at me for bringing that up, but I was like, babe, if the client or if the person or if your audience is asking you for an in-depth description so that they understand that the grass wasn't really, it wasn't like green, but it was kind of like that Kentucky bluegrass green, but it had those hues of kind of like, Kermit the Frog green, but then you had some of those yellows with the little browns in them. And then, but if you looked at, and if the sun hit it just right, it could have actually had like that bluish foamish green to it, but the grass was green. That's all we needed to know at that moment. And I have to be cognitive of this as well, because as those of you who know me pretty well, sometimes the squirrels up here get, I don't know, a little too much caffeine, and there's a lot of information for them to pick around at, and I have to remember the so what factor. I don't want you guys going, yeah, okay, that's nice. So what? Why? Whatever. And so I'm giving you guys permission and asking you as a friend and colleague and all the above. If I get off on a rant and I reach the so what level where you're just kind of glazing over, going, all right, we got it, you can say, so the grass was green, right? I will know exactly where we're at. And I'll be, yes, the grass was green. Onward. Now, as you guys have noticed, I tend to get a little nervous here when we're doing these because this is only the third triple T so far. And again, thanks for tuning in. But I want to make sure that I'm covering stuff that is good for you guys. I'm not going too fast because I can glaze over things at a rapid pace and that you're finding it pertinent. So, are there any questions, input, ahas, whatever, on what I've gone over so far? Silence is golden. So is duct tape. All right, cool. Well, that went quick. Hopefully, I've got enough content to keep you guys up here. The other one that I picked out for this evening is, as long as we're in communication, storytelling, styling. This came from Dr. David Snyder, and he's played it down a couple of times, and I just want to go up and that is the power of the word might. Has anybody heard myself or Dr. David talking on this? If so, raise your hand. Okay, so there's still enough people that, cool.
He
Might.
may have mentioned it in class. I just don't remember because I've taken so many classes with him.
Good answer.
You know, and like in regression technologies, there's so much language and grammar and, you know, past, present, you know, presuppositions and temporal ordinals and all that. So he may have mentioned it. It might be subconsciously in there.
Okay. Well,
the mostly what I've heard him talk about is when you use the word might, you free the mind from having to be right, and it allows it to guess in a way where the creative imagination comes in, and what the mind conceives of, the mind accepts, and so you're able to trigger that process for the mind to create its own solution. It's kind of like the basis of the in the same concept of like whatchamacallit, of like color breathing, where your resolution frequency, you're basically giving permission to create a resolution of whatever kind, create an answer the mind can accept, because it doesn't have to be accurate to the outside world's constraints.
winner, chicken dinner.
Very well said,
Yeah,
boss.
that is it, all in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And for those of you that come out of trance, join us again.
Yeah.
The beyond that, the freedom that, as he described, it gives people. It doesn't have to be used in therapy. It can. I use it. I probably overuse it now, which is fine because the results that I get out of it are worth every part of it. There are so many applications. One of my clients started using it with her rebellious daughter, simply on the, you know, anybody who's ever dealt with teenagers, while they know all of it, and they're more than happy to let you know that they know it all, she was able to reframe a lot of stuff simply using the word might. So, how might you feel if this were to happen to you? I'm just curious. Well,
I was going to say it's an automatic resistance protocol where the person has permission to accept or reject, which creates the space for them to not resist because they know they have the freedom.
correct. The other application that I use it all the time at certain places that I frequent and purchase stuff is I will ask, how bad might you want to get rid of this? The amount of discounts I have gotten out of that simple question is amazing. Some would call it scandalous, but they're just jealous. So, but again, that gives them that freedom where you're not like, well, can you give me a discount? Maybe, dude. It's just simply, how bad might you want to get rid of that? And if they say, well, why? You can tiptoe away from it. You know, they don't have to, they don't feel obligated, but it certainly opens up the option. And most of them don't have a problem giving that option if possible. So there's a freebie. Looking forward to stories and comments on how might has blessed your week. And of course, in the therapy setting, might is I find almost invaluable, especially when dealing with resistance and pushback. You know, what color is the energy that you're feeling? Well, I don't see any. If you did, what color might it be? Oh, well, it's purple. Ah, it's purple. Okay. Is there any texture? No, no texture. If there was a texture, what kind of texture do you think it might have? Oh, it's smooth. It's smooth. It's purple and it's smooth. And simply using that might, it's amazing how many things that they go back and find that weren't there, or that they just simply didn't feel comfortable in their first rendition of the answer. Is that helpful to you guys? Cool. Well, you guys are all right. 21 minutes into it, and I'm like, oh, I'm running out of stuff. You guys are a little too fast on this, and that's good.
I was going to say, one of the things that I do with people that are reaching out to me for sessions and so forth, I usually send them because a lot of people have anxiety and panic attacks and just bad, ugly feelings. So I tell them, you know, you might benefit, you know, it's possible you might benefit from my PSMO method, and I send them a link to the PSMO, and then invariably they do the PSMO method, because in the blurb I also tell them it's possible you may not even need to meet with me or even have a session, and there you go, you'll have whatever you have, you know, just taken care of. And sure enough, they watch the video, they follow the instructions, and they're like, oh my God, that worked. And some of them, I eliminate the ones that don't really need to meet with me, and then I only meet with the ones that really need to have a session, a one-on-one, whether it's online or in person. And but that works really phenomenally well.
I would get my butt chewed out if Dr. David knew how many people I cured in a free consultation.
Well, not necessarily, because people then come back later. It seems like the trend that I've seen is that even people who I do have a session with, because I tell them, I usually only have one session with most people that that are private clients. Very rarely do I have two. But I've had several people, even though now they're healed, they don't have pain, they're feeling great. Then they're like, I'd like to have a session with you just to focus on like my career and upping my game. I want to take my business, or I want to take my practice to the next level. And I know that you're the person that can help me get there. I'm like, okay. So,
What a
and the ones
concept.
that are done for free is basically it's good faith where I know it'll come back. It's like, it feels so great to be able to get people relief. That's already one form of payment for me.
Exactly. And karma is always watching, always watching.
Yeah.
And I had a squirrel pop up and run across the road, and I want to know if you guys want me to chase it or not. When you brought up anxiety, I actually came up with a protocol that I call anxiety, fear, excitement protocol, especially used for people who have anxiety and things of that nature. Would you guys be interested in hearing the breakdown of that protocol? Okay. Well, here we chase the squirrel. Whee! So when I hear, real quick recap, is there anybody that wasn't here for my talk about labels? Nothing means anything until you give it a label. Okay, I'm gonna retouch on that super quick, and then you guys can hold me accountable to chase the anxiety. So the anxiety, fear, and excitement also runs along the lines of nothing means anything until you give it a label. And the amount of headaches that I've cured for people simply by having them relabel things is kind of mind blowing in a way. There's a label, because I'll have people, people have that look on their face, and you're like, "What's wrong?" "I got a headache." And the first thing I like to ask them is, well, is it yours or is it somebody else's? Kind of like an energy spider web you walk through. And of course, you inevitably get that look of, huh? I go, well, just ask your subconscious, is it yours or is it somebody else's? And I don't really care what the answer is. I just want them to start thinking into, is this headache mine or is it somebody else's? Regardless of what they come back with, I'll go, okay, so out of curiosity, what else could it be? Give me 3 answers. They're like, what? I'm like, your headache. What else could it be? They'd be like, I guess I didn't drink very much today. Okay, could be dehydration. What else could it be? Well, I didn't sleep very good last night. Okay, could be fatigue. What else could it be? Well, I didn't eat much yesterday. Okay, could be low blood sugar. So when we look at that, it could be dehydration, could be fatigue, could be low blood sugar. What do you notice about that thing that you called a headache a little bit ago? And the number of people that are like, is gone. I'm like, whoa. And what happened is, it doesn't necessarily mean that the first answer or the second answer or even the third answer was the correct one. Sometimes looking at the 3 along with the label that was first used causes a complete reanalysis of what was there. Because too often we're like, oh, I feel something. And the subconscious goes, well, what was it? I don't know, I guess it's a headache. Oh, we got a headache. Yep, that's it. We got a headache. Boom, and you got a headache. And ironically, you just gave yourself a headache by labeling what could have been sinus pressure. It could have been all sorts of things. But because we gave it a label and we wanted to stick with that and defend it right away, that's what we've got. This also leads us right into segue, anxiety, fear, and excitement. And anytime I have a client that tells me that they have anxiety or anxiety attacks, I like to ask them, was it yours or is it somebody else's? Kind of like an energy spider web that you walk through. That's the first thing, allowing them to understand that it's not always your energy. And I'll go into a little bit like, you do realize that we are one of the largest antennas that's been around since the dawn of mankind. And it's sometimes we can even tune into a person's frequency, like mothers. Oh my gosh, try to tell me that you don't have your child's frequency locked in somewhere in the radio dial. Your kid can be halfway across the globe, have a shit day happen to them. Trust me, my mom knows if I'm having a good day or a bad day sometimes. So why wouldn't it make sense that if you're feeling some type of feeling, that it wasn't necessarily yours? It could also be the neighbor found out that their grandpa passed away. And all of a sudden, you have no idea. You're in your house having a good day, and all of a sudden, you're just like, huh, my day sucks. Why? I don't know. Until you have the ability to go, what else could it be? Is this energy mine, or does it belong to somebody else and I just picked up on it? Then after that, I've got a couple of my favorite metaphors for talking people through anxiety, fear, and excitement. And the first thing is, have you ever seen a heartbeat on a heartbeat monitor? Most people have. If not in person, they've seen it on television or in a movie or something. And so I'll ask them, what does fear look like on a heartbeat monitor? And I go, show me with your hand. And it's I said, now, fear is not always a bad energy. It's the energy that allows us to run away from the saber-toothed tiger when we need to. And trust me, that energy will make you run faster than you ever thought you could run, and probably ever could if you didn't have something chasing you. And what would anxiety look like on a heartbeat monitor? The only difference is anxiety is kind of like defibrillation. Your heart is getting all of the same energy. The only problem is it's not beating correctly. It's beating irrationally off beat. And if you don't get that shit figured out, it can kill you. But your heart is still getting the energy, lots of it. It's kind of like fear, only anxiety is fear without a foundation. Oftentimes, when I ask people who are suffering from anxiety, first thing I'll ask them, what are you afraid of? They're like, what? I'm like, this energy, this anxiety that's hitting you right now. What is it that you're afraid of? And oftentimes they're like, I don't know. Like, if it were something you were afraid of, what might it be? They'll give you an answer. As soon as it turns into fear, as soon as they identify it, it's much easier to attack and dismantle. The problem with the anxiety was they didn't have a known fear to attack, reframe, or rationalize. It was simply a fear without foundation. It was this energy unuseful. And then I'll ask them, now, what does excitement look like on a heartbeat monitor? It's the exact same beat, but what's the difference? Excitement is pleasurable almost all the time. All three of them are the same energy. The difference is it useful in a pleasurable way? Is it unpleasurable? Or is it unknown? But they're all three the same energy. The other metaphor that I like to use is roller coasters. Most people have seen a roller coaster. And we all know the different people regarding roller coasters. There are the people that lose their mind. Oh my God, it's the most fun thing ever! I will wait in line 5 hours so I can ride the triple corkscrew of death. And then you got the people that are scared shitless to even watch one on television. That is a death trap thing that, yeah, okay, yeah, I saw that. Me, yes. And then you've got the other people that look at it and they're like, what a flippin', oh my God, waste of time. Waste of time. Stand like cattle in the stanchion for 2 hours in the sun so I can sit in a bucket for 30 seconds. Woo, didn't even die. Could have watched the grass grow. Would have been more entertaining. Now, if you take that spectrum of people and you put it on a scale of 1 to 10, and the ones are the ones that think it's the biggest flippin' waste of time ever since the dawn of time, and the 10s are the people that are absolutely terrified if they ever got put on a roller coaster, it was because 7 people dragged them. They cried the entire way up there, and their fingerprints are still in the bar from the 30-second ride. Now, if that's a 10, what range, what numbers in that range of people, what are the numbers of the people that have the most fun on a roller coaster ride? Type it into the chat session real quick, if you can. Scale of 1 to 10. Okay. Now, obviously, this is my hypothesis, and some people have heard me talk about this before. The people that have the most fun on the roller coaster are the 7s and the 8s, because there's enough fear, and the fear is still excitement, to make it fun. Those are the ones that are, oh my God, I can't believe this. We're almost there. We're almost there. Oh my God, we're in. Oh, we're in. Oh, okay, is this locked all the way? Is it locked? Am I going to raise my hands? I don't know. Are you going to throw your hands? I don't know. We're going to see. Oh, I hope nobody throws up. Oh my God, here we go. Ah! And they're screaming like a 5-year-old because there's still enough fear, but there's enough excitement to make it fun. Once it hits that 9, now the excitement is gone and it's pure fear. And when they hit the 10, it's too much fear and it becomes anxiety. Now it's no fun. And it can switch. You can take somebody who's an 8 and simply magically pull out a big bolt just as it's starting to roll and go, dude, this just came out of your bar. Do you think this is important? Yeah, they went from an 8 to a 10. They have anxiety through the roof. They know they're going to die. And that's where it's the same energy, but getting your 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 client to understand the difference between anxiety, fear, and excitement is the first step. Now, if you've got somebody who is afraid of public speaking, you can get them to understand the different levels and understand that what they're feeling, they don't have to they don't have to get rid of the energy. They relabel it and change it into what is useful. The protocol that I use for fear of public speaking is I always ask them, have you ever been to a concert or a huge public event? And I'll ask them, how big was the event? Okay. I said, well, picture in your mind, let's say you're going to your favorite music concert, 20,000 people, and you went with 5 of your best friends. So you're at this concert, 5 of your best friends, 20,000 people are there, you're talking to your friends. What is your anxiety level scale of 1 to 10? And they're like, I don't know, 1. I'm like, but you're talking with 20,000 people around you. I mean, like, that's a lot of people. Well, yeah, but who cares? I mean, I'm talking to my 5 best friends. So, okay. Now your 5 best friends all put on Bluetooths, and you didn't get seats next to each other. It just, that's how it was. Of course, you ended up in the 5 spread out portions. You got one right in the very center, and your other 4 friends are in the far 4 corners, and you're dead right in the back. But you're talking to your friends on their Bluetooths. What's your anxiety level, 1 to 10? And they even, I don't know, 2 or whatever. I'm like, but there's 20,000 people there. You're talking with 20,000 people there, and you're a 2. Wow, okay. I said, now you found out, you got to talking to one of the security, well, he thought it was a security guard. Turns out to be the backstage manager who just came out to see what things look like up there. You remind him of one of his best friends growing up or whatever. So he asks, hey, you want to see the concert from backstage? The answer is, yeah. Yeah, it's your favorite band up there, duh. So you get to go backstage, and you're standing there and you're watching and you're talking to your friends. What's your anxiety level now? And they're like, I said, let me ask you a different question. What's your excitement level now? Oh, it's a 9, it's a 10. Woo-hoo, I said, yeah, okay, but what is your anxiety level? 1, 2, I don't know. Well, now somehow you found out, either some friend of yours texted you from outside, there is somebody in there that they can't get a hold of, and they need you to tell as many people as you can this person's name so that you can save their life. You have vital information. And so on a chance, on a whim, you tell your 5 friends who are still on Bluetooth, And it just so happens one of them was right next to the person and you saved their life. What's your excitement level? It's 9 or 10. What's your anxiety level? 1 or 2. I said, but you just gave out vital information in front of 20,000 people. Well, yeah, but I was backstage. Nobody saw me. All right. Now the band found out that you've got this information, and they found out that you've got another name. Now they don't want to really quit what's going on. They don't want to lose their status, but they asked if you would use the house system microphone and tell this person that the information they need to know. What's your anxiety level now? Nobody's going to see you. Probably a 3. I said, okay, so you give out the information, and you didn't save one person, you saved 50 people. 50. Well, they found out that you saved 50 people because this information is almost universal. And so they asked you to come out and give the information to everybody. They're not going to put the spotlight on you. They just want you to be able to say it a little clearer because it's kind of noisy backstage. What's your anxiety level? Well, maybe it's probably a 4 or 5 now because I'm actually out on the stage with my favorite band. I said, is it anxiety or is it excitement? Close your eyes once and say, how exciting. I get to go out and save somebody's life. I've already saved 51 people. No, 55. How exciting. What just happened to that energy? Is there any anxiety? No. Good. Well, now you just saved not 50, you saved 500 out of the 20,000. How's that feel? Woo. Now the band realized the number of people that you've been able to save, and they want to thank you, and they turn the house lights up. I saw that, Shutter. Because you were able to save 555 people. And before anything else, they say, we would like you to say what you said one more time, because some people weren't paying attention. That's why we had to turn the house lights up. And we want you to introduce yourself and tell them you have something important to say. And so I'll ask my client, what's your anxiety level? 7. I said, close your eyes. And instead of that, I want you to say, how exciting I get to save people with information that I have. I get to save people with the information. How exciting. Notice what happened to that energy. And I want you to walk up to that microphone. And I want you to say your name out clearly and go, hi, my name is so-and-so, and I have information to save people. How exciting. You just saved 5,000 people. In total that night, because you were able to convert anxiety to fear to excitement, initially excitement, you saved 5,505 people, 5,555 people. How flippin' exciting is that? I now have probably 6 or 7 clients who, before the protocol, if I would have handed them a microphone in a room of 7 people, they would have had bathroom disorders on the spot. Who are now, 2 of them are actually teaching classes and getting up and doing public speaking. Because it's exciting. It's not anxiety and it's not fear, it's exciting. One of my rich dad that I like to refer to him was the very first one to ever change my view on public speaking. And the way he did it was, you ever been in a really busy place talking to your family? Did you freak out? Oh, no. Good. Then the next time you have to get up somewhere and there's a lot of people there and you just have to talk, don't talk to the whole crowd. Talk to the 5 people that you know in the room. Your grandma, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your favorite aunt or uncle, your bestie. And they never stay next to each other. They're one over there, one over there, one there, one there, one over there. But you only talk to them. The other people are just listening in. Who gives a shit? And so as you talk, you don't focus on the one person solid. Talk to that person a little bit, then you tell this person a little bit, and then you talk to that person a little bit, and then you talk, and you just allow your eyes to scan the room around, talking to your 5 best friends. And in doing so, there's going to be a couple of people that have that gaze of like, holy cow, how cool is this? And they'll be looking right at you. And it's okay to talk to them. They deserve that energy because they were listening in. Is this helpful so far? You guys liking this? Cool.
Very much so. That one was awesome.
The squirrel just ran away into the shadows. Boom, just like that. Where was? Oh well, if the squirrel crosses the road again, I'll grab it quick and show it to you guys. Where are we at here? We're coming up on the 1 hour segment, which means I don't have to keep coming up with stuff. Yeah, we're a little short on the other 2 things, so I've got 2 other things for our next talk. One, give you guys a little heads up. One is I was asked to go over my timeline manipulation with energy injection protocol that I authored. It's a hybrid of Dr. David's, like most of my stuff is, obviously. And the other one is 3-chair process. Has anybody heard of 3-chair protocol?
I know the 2-chair.
And I'll go in depth on it when next week when we get a chance. Make sure you guys remind me. But to give you the super quick Reader's Digest version is 3-chair protocol is a way of helping people who are angry at somebody else, arguments, stuff like that. And so you bring them into a virtual setting. Mine is I construct what I call the control room, where I bring people down into the control room. We go into the hologram deck, and I will set up 3 chairs. And one chair is person A, one chair is the person they have a problem with, and the middle chair is the mediator. And the client has to sit in all 3 chairs and have the argument. And again, because of how we are connected, especially when we've dealt with people, and a portion of that connection is always going to be there regardless, the clarity that comes out of some of these 3 chair is amazing, including multi-generational. I have had clients who have had to sit down in a 3 chair and discuss why this energy is in the family lineage, because they were pissed off that they had to go through what they were going through. And why couldn't you have taken care of this like 7 generations ago when you had the chance? And look what you did to our family. Oh, that's why. Oh, okay, sorry. So there's that, but I'm not going to be able to go in depth and properly teach it in 5 minutes. Is there anything from what I covered so far tonight that you guys would like me to expand upon, or any questions or input, or come out of trance?
Hey, just to double check, where can we get the replays for this?
Yeah, that's a funny little question. That would be on moi, because last week, right after Triple T, I had 2 amazing ladies help me set up the recording capability to live broadcast it onto my YouTube channel and everything. And then the week went by like, boop, and holy cow, here we are again. And I went to go start it up, and it said, you didn't do the settings properly, so we need to verify who you are. We're going to text you a number. Okay, so I did that, and then it said, yep, and you should be able to start doing that process in about 24 hours.
Got you. Do you have the? Can you drop those? Are you gonna drop the ones from last time and time before and this time on the channel after the fact?
Yeah, I got to do a little editing. I found out on one of them, but we'll get them cleared up, and then yeah, they will be going on to my TSWB Helps YouTube channel.
Sweet. Thanks.
Yo, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. That's your prize for the time. As you can tell, I love this stuff. I wound up like a little kid on 7 bottles of Coca-Cola. So back to any other questions, clarifications, inputs, ahas. Awesome, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more we practice our, the more opportunities we have to practice the different things that we've learned and just recall. I did have, after, I don't know, there's something that popped into my head. I thought, I don't know
Thanks,
why,
Moss.
when, I'm sorry?
Oh, no, I was just saying thanks, Moss, because I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I don't know why during the Dr. David event, you know how we anchor in relentless playful, curious, victorious. And I thought, I don't know why it didn't occur to me until today. I was doing a process with a private client, and it occurred to me, I'm like, I don't know why it never occurred to me to anchor to myself to take action, should be the fifth element, how he has us anchored to a finger. And I know some people anchor all of them to the same finger, but the point is to just anchor that, to take action, because you can have a ton of knowledge, you can have a ton of information stored in your head, but if you don't take any action and actually use the tools that you've learned, then you're just a library, but no one has gone in to read the book and then take action on it. So that occurred to me today, and that was something that I threw in with my private client, which I haven't before, only because I realized a need in myself to want to have more of that. And I'm pretty guilty of, how some people say ready, aim, fire. I've been accused plenty of being ready, fire, aim. I'm like, okay, ready, fire, aim, and then we'll you're going to be adjusting anyhow, so why not ready, fire, aim? But I know that that's a big stumbling block for a lot of people, where they'll go to umpteen events, they'll read umpteen books, and analysis is paralysis. If you can't take action on anything, just one or two things that you've learned, then it's almost as if you didn't have it.
I have 2 quotes for you on that.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most valuable place on the planet?
For me, the most valuable place on the planet?
What's the most valuable place on the planet?
Where I am right here, right now.
No,
Graveyard.
the graveyard.
The what?
The graveyard, because the graveyard is the most valuable place on the planet, because that's where all the knowledge, books, stories, everything that never made it to the public is buried.
There's a lot of energy we could be pulling from going to cemeteries.
The amount of stories and knowledge and stuff that got buried because people didn't take action is sadly phenomenal. And the other one is a little story that Pastor said that kicked me right square in the hee-haw is, people will tell you that, hell doesn't exist and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, what if, fine, if you want to go that route, what if hell is simply you having to spend the rest of eternity with the person you were supposed to be, had the possibility of becoming, that used all of the gifts God had given you? What if hell is simply having to spend the rest of eternity with that person? Along with that, having to walk up to a large chest and going, what's that? That's everything I wanted to give you if you would have only asked. And so when I work with people, especially on image cycling and potential, my question is always, what does God, universe, whatever you want to use, what does source have access to?
There's no limits.
None, zero, not at all. So it's almost, to make it even easier, let's say it was the ocean. And all we ironically, we think that we're asking for like, oh my God, I can't ask for a gallon of water, like a gallon, like, oh my, I've been living with this cut like that. See, I've lived off of that. And I'd really like it if, you know,
Survival.
if I could just have this bottle half full, would that be okay? Half full? Um, Source has the whole ocean out there. Yeah, but that's for other people. That's, I mean, what would I do if I had like this full? You'd be able to share it with others. Well, yeah, there's that. But I mean, but what if, I mean, I can't just like ask them for like a bottle. No, actually, you can ask them for a gallon. A gallon, that is like, oh my God, do you know how much is in a gallon? I mean, look, I lived off of that my entire life. A gallon, a gallon. Yeah, a gallon would allow you the ability to help people that you never even thought you could before, for the simple reason that you can. It allows you the ability to see a single mom in a grocery store trying to figure out what she has to put back because she's gone $2.50 over her limit. And you have the ability to simply, without any fanfare, slip $100 bill to the cashier and say, and she also gets to keep the change. Because that $100 bill means more to her than you, because you have plenty of it. You have a whole gallon and more waiting for you. It's the ability to help the person down the road when their car breaks down and it's their only way to get to work. And you don't have to let anybody know that they're not going to fix that piece of shit that you wouldn't be caught dead going across the street in. You just simply had not a big fan, you know, you didn't get them a brand new Cadillac Escalade, but you got something that would haul their family safely because you asked for a gallon, not to show off. But Source went, I got a whole ocean. And I'm happy to give it to whoever asks. And I'm getting better at it myself. And the blessings and stuff that have shown up, you can call it karma, you can call it fate, you can call it whatever. You know, the image cycling, and we can make that part of a class as well. The image cycling that I learned and that I've seen work on a beautifully scary level. I'm a recipient of it myself. Did you have a question, Linda, or?
Yeah, TJ, I got a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't videoed in. I'm just like exhausted. I had a big day.
That's okay.
Here's my question. You know, I've been struggling to go back to finish a project and start a new project. And you know, what you were saying a little bit ago just really clicked with me. And I was suddenly wondering, why is it never occurs to us to ask for help from source, angels, guardians, you know, what God, whatever your belief is? How come it never occurs to us? I mean, it's clear it's there when you ask for it, but how come it never, and I'll personalize it, how come it never occurs to me to remember to ask?
I have lots of theories on that. And this is the mastermind portion of Triple T. So this is not talking head time, TJ, but one of my theories is, especially in our generation, our parents had parents who went through the Great Depression and all the above, and you were taught, be happy with what you got, damn it. You just, and if you want something, you go out and you get it. You don't have to, you don't ask others, you don't blah, 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 and good enough is good enough. And all of these programs that were put on us as kids. And I think part of it is after that amount of conditioning, we forget to ask for help. You know, that basically is asking for help. And a lot of it is amplified again with personal perception of deservedness. I only deserve this much. And that's, I don't know if I work with so many people and go over so much stuff. I don't remember if I went over financial thermostat or not. Do you guys remember me talking about financial thermostat at all?
Yeah, week 1.
Week 1, okay.
Yeah.
For those of you that were not there for week 1, if I don't get that up in time, you can also ask next week for a recap on it. But the quickest recap on it is we all have a financial thermostat. I got this from Tony Robbins and Millionaire Mindset from T. Harv Eker. There's a comfort zone that has been programmed into our body's hard set. And just like a thermostat, you've got both settings. You've got the furnace and you've got the AC. And we will live comfortably in this zone.
Mid-range.
And very few people figure out a way to push beyond the upper zone. It's much easier for people, and I was one of them. I went from a comfort zone here, and in 07, when I lost everything, I went into survival mode and lived in ways that I never thought that I would really allow myself to. But it happened easily because it's much easier for us to have stuff taken from us and having to survive with less. Very few people are blessed with things given to them. But even those that do, like the people that win the lottery and they go from here and all of a sudden their income is way the hell up here. If somebody doesn't help them readjust their financial thermostat, it has been proven over and over and over and over and over again that they will work their way right back down to where they were within 2 to 5 years. They will burn their way through millions of dollars and be back to where they were within 2 to 5 years because of the financial thermostat. And that was a long, twisty answer to why don't we ask source for help with things that we need. And again, I think it's because we've had the asking programmed out of us, along with a deservedness of being able to ask from the outside for help. Does that make sense?
I think
So
it's
it's-
also tied to the world's greatest lie. I don't know if you heard the story that Paul Coelho told, but there was a boy that asked, what's the world's greatest lie? And Paul Coelho replied to him that at a certain point in your life, we lose control of what's happening to us, and our lives are more controlled by a fate and a destiny, which is not true. And so if you want to say, oh, it's just fate, I'm just fated to be broke, and no one in my family's ever, done really well. We've always lived hand to mouth, or maybe, we're not poor, but we're not rich either. So, we've always been upper middle class, and no one's made, over, $10 million in my family. So it's like a self-limiting belief system, because it's not familiar to you to go beyond and to stretch and to push beyond that outer limit. It's part of what at the beginning, you talked about what you know and what you don't know. That part of, that aspect of might that leaves all sorts of possibilities open. And so, not to be, I'm not playing puns here, but, as you become aware of those things and you realize that there really are no there are no limits, that the universe you are one with the universe, and the universe is one with you. And you can be, do, have anything you want. It's just a matter, first of all, you got to choose consciously what it is that you do want. Because since there's no limit to what you want, you couldn't possibly handle having it all at the same time.
Yep.
So you have to choose. It's like, well, somebody who likes sweet may not like sour. So give yourself permission to want the sweet foods, want the sweet experiences in life, want the sweet income, the sweet home, the sweet car. And so half the battle is giving yourself permission to want what you truly want, and say, okay, this is what I want. And I'm not going to focus on the wanting of it, because you don't want more wanting. You want to actually have whatever it is that your target is. So it's like, okay, I've just decided that this is what I'm going to have. This is what I'm going for. And now your brain's going, oh, okay. It starts to move in that direction, because you made a decision that this is what you want. This is what you're going for. And then things start to come your way as you put your focus and attention on that. So
That's kind of in the lines when I'm working with clients that are looking for relationships. And I tell them that I want them to get a journal titled My Person, and write down in detail, deep detail, everything they know about that person, as though they have known them intimately for at least 5 years. And of course, I get pushback, and they're like, "Well, I thought we weren't supposed to." And my favorite one is, "Well, I'll know when I see it." I'm like, "Really, really? Then how come you ain't seen him yet?" What you need to do is, because the universe has access to everything. If I told you that you could ask the universe for one car, and you get to have whatever car you ask for, but just like the genie in the bottle lesson, be careful what you ask for, because the genie always has some funky way. And so I'll, it's nice to have a Ferrari until you have to take the Ferrari to the shop.
oil, lube, and filter, it's over 2K.
Yeah, and you're like, what do I have? Ah! Yeah, well, maybe but there are people that if you have the lifestyle and the ability to support that, why not have a Ferrari? Hell yeah. Or what does a Ferrari mean to you? What is your version of a Ferrari? But still, I'll ask them, what color is it? 2-door or 4-door? Is it a penis extension jacked up 4x4 with a big V8? Or is it a Prius, because you want to save a tree. It's not up to me to judge, but you have to write it down, handwriting, because there's energy in that, and you have to continually go back over it. And it's funny, my success stories, when I talk to them and I'm like, when you pull out your list now, how freaky is it when you start looking at how many items you got to check off? And do I expect that you're going to have a 100% full compliance checkoff? No, because there's a good chance that some of that stuff on there shouldn't have been on there. You don't know why, but I've had a number of clients that went through, and some of the stuff that they changed, because they'll be reading through it and they're like, and he drives a Tesla. And they're like, wait a minute. No, he drives a blah, blah, blah. Sure enough, when they meet him, in fact, one of my clients, when she got the list back and had to correct it, she came out of trance. She's like, said he had salt and pepper hair. I have never been attracted to anybody with salt. I'm like, I have not used that expression ever. It did not come from me, I promise you, because she had brown hair. You know what she just found out? She found a picture of him in college. Guess what color his hair was in college?
Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now it's salt and pepper. And when she told me that, I'm like, yeah. Funny how that works. There you have it. So, tying back into asking the universe for help and for stuff and for deservedness, and getting over the fact that we may not feel like we deserve to make X amount of dollars, which is simply a program put on somewhere, somehow, sometime along the way. And it is changeable.
So it's bad tapes, TJ?
Could be.
Just, I would guess sort of a combination of, training, childhood, don't ask for too much, don't get out of line, don't, so childhood restriction trainings. And like a lot of other things, it's like sometimes the most powerful skill sets are never offered up or encouraged or trained.
Yep.
Right? So it's almost like there's a consistent, concerted, okay, or watch me go down the rabbit hole, but it's almost like a concerted effort has been exerted upon us, pretty much all of mankind, to divorce us from our, what's the word I want? Our best assets. Yeah.
Like the saying, most people are not afraid of what they're capable or what they can fail at. Most people are afraid of what they can accomplish.
And I think sometimes it's not always bad tapes. Sometimes the tape wasn't even part of the experience growing up. And so if you had a mother figure, let's say, who prided herself in never asking for help and doing it everything on her own, which I know people like that. And so then you don't want to ask anyone for help for anything, because it's a show of weakness, and it's you want to still be strong and independent and look like you're capable, because to ask someone for help for anything is to show that you're incapable or less than, or what have you. But really, there's actually an
Hold on,
old,
hold on.
uh-huh.
Did you hear the number of labels that were just laid out? No, I'm serious. Right back to nothing means nothing until you give it a label.
Give it a label.
And the amount of labels that you just laid out and the power of those labels, they were some pretty intense ones. And before the squirrel disappears into the dark, I want to throw this out there
Mhm.
that one of the best anecdotes for this type of stuff, especially when parents put programming on ours, is the saying, they did the best they could at the time with the tools, knowledge, and energy available. If they could have done better, they would have. And it goes to us, it goes to our parents, it goes to everybody that we've ever dealt with, whoever gave us a label, gave us a program, gave us even multi-generational, that gave us energy that flowed through the generations and F shit up. Rawr.
They didn't know any better.
As soon as you accept the fact that they did the best they could at the time with the tools, knowledge, and energy available to them, if they could have done better, they would have.
Would've.
And with that, we can now chop that story, that history, that label off,
Reframe it.
done, and move forward, because we now have new tools, new knowledge, new energy, new information available to us, and it's time for us to do the best we can with what we have available. So ask for help. That's part of what this is put together for. Learn new things, become somebody you weren't yesterday, last week, last year. I've got to discipline myself, there's a label, into spending less time listening to music, my absolute favorite pastime, and start feeding my brain information. There was a time where my phone, I would say about 10 years ago, my cell phone had nothing but audiobooks on it. Coming from a person who was musically driven for the vast majority of my life, I deep dove into Kiyosaki, Wayne Dyer, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, anything. I couldn't get enough. And then all of a sudden I got to a point where I just kind of like blissed out and went, well, I miss my music. And I swung the pendulum way the other way.
You can do both and. It's not an either or.
That is a correct statement that I'm still working on, because I love Pandora and I have some great channels on Pandora, and there's some great music on Pandora. And it's free. I just have to listen to some stupid ads.
So just put some high vibing music as you're reading some of those awesome books that
Oh
are.
no, my squirrels are way too amped on meth to do. I seriously, if I can try and read, and if there's a radio on, my squirrel will be like,
Big
da, da, da,
distance.
da, 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 and I will not. I'm like, I know I looked at these pages long enough to read them 5 times, and I don't remember one word. That's called knowing your limits. Understand the squirrels. My squirrels stories have stories.
You want to turn the volume down on those squirrels and the squirrel stories today, or do you want to hold on to them?
Oh, no, that's why I announced that I need to get back to audiobooks and start feeding my brain other stuff and getting back to, helping people and learning to ask and pushing people because I need to be pushed. That's how I got to where I am. And then ironically, I flash back to our very first talk where I think about a half hour into it, I was talking about not holding on to the reins so tight, thinking that we were in charge of this merry-go-round, because just about the time we think that I got it all figured out, I laid these plans out, I got this trajectory right there. What am we're going where?
Course correction.
Yeah, well, I've lived in 4 houses that I just knew were going to be my retirement home. This is it. I'm home. I'm never going to have to live here again. What do you mean I got to move? Really?
Out of state.
Yeah, no shit. 3 times. So we got right on. Everybody else see that?
See what?
One of our peeps was smart enough to change her Pandora stuff to podcasts and stories. And my amazing wife, the amount of podcasts that she listens to and the stories that she tells, I guess I could say, I get lots of information from podcasts. Lots of information from podcasts directly from my wife. So I could justify not having to listen to all of them, but that would be a shortcoming. And I'm like, thanks, honey, that was awesome. I listened to Skid Row 18 to Life, and then I caught on to Poison. Somebody asked, what's the difference between Venom and Poison? And well, Poison is Venom was a little harder rock than Poison, but.
I changed mine from listening to the Pandora, like I said, to listening to crime junkies off of Podbeans. And it kind of opens up my eyes on other people's circumstances to get myself out of my own self.
Right on. And the places inspiration can come from, being aware of your surroundings. I got people that, I don't know if it's the master and commander part of me or the rock star or the whatever meta you want to attach, but people will share stuff with me, and some of the stuff that I've had shared with me, I'm like, wow, that was worth every minute that my life invested into it. And one of the things that I tell people, learn every chance you get, every second, every minute, any chance you get a chance to learn something, learn. And you may not understand why you're taking the time to learn it or why that information is presented to you. But I cannot count the number of times where something that was I experienced or went through or learned or read or something, how many years ago suddenly was appropriate for the situation. I tell people that if I had a chance, I would take, if I had a chance and it was free and I had the time to take underwater basket weaving, I'd probably do it. And most people are like, what? What a freaking waste of whatever. And I'd be like, not because I want to be a basket weaver. But at some point in time, we could be building an arbor on the house. And all of a sudden I'd be like, if you take the wood and you ravel it this way and this way, it makes it a lot stronger. And people be like, where'd you learn that? Underwater basket weaving. It was a free class when I was in 7th grade.
No experience is wasted.
Right? And if you guys have next week, let's share podcasts that we found or, stuff. And I'd love to hear some of the stuff that you guys learned over the week from a podcast. Not only the fact that reiterating it helps solidify it, but somebody on this amazing group needs to hear your specific story, and they weren't listening to that podcast even though the universe wanted them to, so they had to make you listen to it so you could share it. Well, that's deep. Yeah, I know, sometimes that's squirrel. Cool. Well, 25 minutes left. We don't have to go 2 hours every week if you guys, but as you've clearly probably noticed, I can talk for days.
So would you mind going over some of the resistance protocol training that we've learned in the past? I think moving forward, that's always a good thing to prime. It's not something you use every day or have to, but every now and then you have circumstances that come up where it would be handy to have that more entrenched in your system, so it's a natural thing that you can unfold.
Well, considering my brain just went and I'm trying to pull out the specific training for the resistance protocol, but a lot of what I use on a daily basis is a cross between reframing and values and criteria elicitation. The vast majority of resistance, I find, is rooted in values and criteria. If I'm asked, if I see somebody that they're resisting something or they don't want to do something, I just start asking questions. Why is that important to you? And which of course is values and criteria elicitation. And sure as shit, somewhere down the line, you run across those building blocks of what is supporting why you don't want to do it. Even if the person doesn't actively understand it, that's what I did with you was, Lillian, how many questions did I ask you pulling out values and criteria and labels surrounding your book, and all of a sudden your resistance came out into a word, and I took that word and dug into what it actually meant to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there may be four questions, I think.
Mm-hmm. Again, I always tell people, get good at asking questions. and then get great at asking questions, and then just build up, because the better you can get at asking questions, the better you can get almost anything you want. The questions will help you figure out how to get there, why you're not getting there, what it would take to get there. Why are people not doing something? What do they want to do? Why would they want to do that? And the power of the word might,
Mhm.
all the above. You can actually question somebody out of a headache, which is basically what I do. Is it yours or is it somebody else's? What else could it be? What level is it right now? Oh, it's a 7. Can you make it an 8? Yeah, because they can always make a headache or a pain worse. It's amazing. It doesn't. If they tell you it's a 10, they can make it 11 if you ask them. And then,
To make it better, if you can make it worse, you can definitely make it better.
yeah, if you can make it an 8, can you make it a 6? Can you bring it back to a 7? Now, can you make it a 5? Can you bring it up to a 6? Can you make it down to, and you ratchet your way down, and pretty soon you're at a 0, and I don't stop there. I make them go into the feel good. 1 or 2, because hey, why leave you, might as well leave you feeling better than you thought you could.
I was going to say, how do you do that to get them into the feel good?
Take it from a 1 to a 0. Now bring it back up to a 1. Now can you bring it to a -1, or actually would be a pleasurable 1? Now bring it back to a 0. Now can you bring it back up to a pleasurable 2? Woo! Oh, yeah, oh, that feels really good. Notice where you feel that. Yeah. Now bring it back down to like a pleasurable 1. But can you bring it up to a pleasurable 3? Like, oh, damn, I am feeling good. Yeah. What color energy is that? Really feeling good energy. Yeah. Notice where that's at. Oh, yeah. Much better. Much better. But it's all questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't tell you. Stay in trance on that one. +2 to +3. Those are really nice ones to have.
I like the fact that you languaged it, the feel good 1, feel good 2, feel good 3, instead of -1, -2.
Mhm.
So they don't attach the word negative to that better feeling state. So
Yep.
yeah.
The very first little notch, you go, bring it to a negative. No, actually, the positive one, the feel good one.
Feel good 1, yeah.
Because they have to visually see that they've dropped themselves down from a 7, ratchet down to a 0.
0. Now you're going into the feel good realm.
Yep, now it's that little bell curve. How far can we make this go? I don't know. How far can I play? Is anybody home? Take it to a 9. Take it to a 10. Wow. Make it feel so good the neighbors want to have a smoke.
That's funny.
Energy is energy, and it's free.
Yeah, no matter what they tell you, it's true. It is free.
Mm-hmm. So, I got 7:43 on the Tiki Talk over here. Anything else, or do we want to finish our evening on a pleasurable 9?
I was gonna say that. I'm gonna get to the
And a
mute button
pleasurable,
fast enough.
pleasurable 1, 2, or 3.
Whee!
4, 5,
Did you-
6, 7, 8.
Yeah, right? And then there was silence, but lots of grins. I like that. Uh-huh.
Did you ever see the Friends episode with Monica? Anybody else a Friends here? Friends fan?
Uh-huh.
Do you
Which
remember when she, what's that?
Which episode?
The one where she's showing Chandler parts of the body and she's saying the word, saying the number 7 on repeat. That's exactly what he sounds like right
I don't
now.
know if I saw that one.
Oh, no, you had to. It's a classic. Holly,
Oh.
have you ever seen it? How am I the only one that's seen this? Maurice, come on.
Only seen one Friends episode ever.
We're all gonna want to look it up.
Oh
now.
my God. Now I'm going to have to leave it on the YouTube chat.
Is it the one where she keeps saying 7, 7,
Yeah.
7, and
Thank
then,
you. Thank you. At
and
least
then
I'm not
Jennifer
alone.
I think Jennifer Aniston starts like kind of
Yeah. And they're all looking at this
piggybacking
piece
off
of
of it?
paper. It's hysterical. Guys, it's like 90s comedy gold.
90s comedy gold. I'm gonna have to
Holly
look it up.
knows about that one. I'm sure I could have probably
That's right.
Holly. That's funny.
I'll
But yes,
admit
it was.
that
Yeah, you should share it though, for sure.
Thank you.
the little bit that I watched of Friends, usually it was muted just for. And then the guys would show up. I'd be like, okay, that's enough.
Oh my gosh. Especially Phoebe's dialogue was priceless.
Yeah.
I think she sang "Stinky Cat" one time or something like that, and I couldn't.
Stinky cat.
Isn't that what
Definitely
it
have
was?
never seen the smelly cat.
Smelly Cat. There, see, there's proof.
Definitely
I
never
watched
seen
it
the show.
all the time. Biggest fan ever.
How about the one where she wants to change her last name or something?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Was
that
it like
guy's
Banana
insane.
Hammock?
Regina Phalange.
Oh my
You
god.
guys are missing out.
Right, I remember that. Oh gosh. Seems like a lifetime ago.
Literally. Back when there used to be good TV on Thursday
And you
night
actually watch
lineups.
stuff on TV.
And how many of us have met people where you're like, that's your name? Like, really? That's like, no, you really? We have, I actually had to, I probably shouldn't do this on public forum, but in private, I'll tell you guys some of the names from back home that I actually proved to my wife are actual names. What their parents were thinking. A boy named Sue style. I mean, like you're either gonna die or you're gonna be strong. Because you're gonna get laughed at wherever you go.
Well, years ago in Texas, there were these twin girls named Ima and Chiza. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they were from a very wealthy oil tycoon family. And I kid you not, their last name was Hogg. And it's no wonder they never married.
I love that John just put his head down.
Well,
It's like, who would do that to their kids?
we've
I
got-
don't understand. There's a disconnect there, obviously. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I literally could top that, and I guess because I'm
Maybe
You-
it's
you
time
can-
to not record.
Yeah, right.
because you can look it up. I'm not trying. we also had a lady that worked at our senior high school who was well endowed. And her name was Ivy Hills. And us boys, I mean, come on, we're 10th, 11th, 12th grade.
Ideas. I got
Yeah.
no breaks.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And even for, and you're not supposed to say for her age. No, for her age, she was still, and those things entered the room at least 10 seconds before she did.
You're definitely gonna have to cut this video.
Yeah, hopefully this video doesn't make it back to that. But Ivy, thank you for all the amazing fantasies, the fun stories around the campfire. Yes. And yeah, I can't do that one while we're recording.
You're gonna have to cut it anyway.
Yeah, well,
I think
there's
Holly and
Yeah.
Lily and Magic is gonna need to come in.
You need the recording button. You can press the recording and it'll actually turn it off.
yeah. Yeah, well, I'll just say, go to Alexandria, Minnesota website and look up chiropractors.
Well, now we're all intrigued.
Maybe you should just type it in the chat because the chat doesn't get recorded.
Well, it does on my recording, but
Yeah, it'll show up here, but when you watch the replay, the chat's not on there. Oh my goodness.
first name Mike.
That's funny.
Yeah, we thought it was hilarious. He and his brother, and I'm trying to think of his brother's name. It was yeah, both of them became hockey players. The poor announcer. Oh, no, that was just him. The other one,
Having you go down memory lane here.
Wayne and Jack, both of them chiropractors. Yes, it is pronounced in the worst way possible.
Oh,
Jack and Wayne, also hockey players.
That's terrible.
Oh, because the poor hockey announcer.
He had no choice. He had to.
And we had a great block by Jackanoff, and it's Wankanoff for the score.
and now you gotta wonder, like, didn't their parents notice at all?
Didn't they have any friends?
So, maybe they were immigrants, and so
Yeah,
they're trying to
Chrissy,
give
thank
the
you.
first name that's Americanized, and they didn't really know about.
Yeah, but I call that-
colloquialisms and slang.
I've always called that a bad case of the nose. No friends, no family, no mirror. The people that go into public at, Walmart at 2 a.m. and you're like, really? Really? You Bad case of the nose. No friends, no
Why you don't go
family, no
into
mirror.
Walmart
You
at
didn't
2 in the
even
morning?
you didn't
Like,
even
what are you
look in
doing there
the
at 2 in the morning,
you
TJ?
did. I just got done DJing. Trust me, there were plenty of times when I get done packing up at 2 in the morning and I'm like, okay, I got to grab some bread on the way home or something. And I'm in there going, this ought to be fun. Walmart, 2 in the morning. Yep, sure as shit. Somebody with a bad case of the nose walking around, like no friends, nobody to go, no. You are not going outside look like, no, you're not going to be in public looking like, put a hat on and take off your slippers. I know they're house slippers, but you are not going to Walmart no, not a single person to tell them no. How sad. Entertaining for us who actually own a mirror and a comb and a toothbrush and have friends that would stop us on the way out the door or before the door
Poor
going,
judgment.
no, not unless I can record it, because I am going to put your ass on
On Facebook.
on Facebook, on YouTube. I literally, and you leave like that, I am videotaped straight to America's Funniest. You're going to be on
Aw,
a, yeah,
second.
as long as we don't end up on the Darwin Awards.
Some people think it's hip to go out in pajamas. They just roll out of bed and go straight to the store. You're like,
Oh, no, that's for bad case of the nose.
oh.
And don't get me wrong, us guys, there are some that we're just like, okay, well, okay, she can go in her pajamas. But that one, no. Eye bleach. There's got to be eye bleach in here somewhere, and I need to Control Alt Delete. Erase. Ew.
Yeah.
Of course, it's the same as, the topless and nude beaches. The guys are like, yeah, gonna go see me some hot stuff.
You see,
Nope,
they're not
they
all
don't
models
show
and
up.
rock stars.
They're tanning in their backyard. They are not tanning on the beach. The ones that are tanning on the beach are just there because they need some attention. And I know
They're
that
holy
if this,
rollies.
yeah. When I was in Europe, one of my elder cousins, or relatives, we went to the beach, and there it's top optional.
Mhm.
God bless him. He is that, I can hardly wait till I can get to that age where I don't give a shit no more. Filter gone. Like, my filter has filtered out enough stuff. It's wore through. There is no filtering action going on anymore. We're walking down the beach and he'd be like, hey, look at that one. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Sorry. Oh, she needs to cover up. I'm like, dude, well, no, don't look at that. Ugh, that's terrible. They touched her belly button. I think she had a belly button. Really? Did you just? Sorry, ma'am.
Are the guys with the big corporation and the man boobs? You're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh." It's like, oh, seriously? You gotta have a clue. There's a lot of mass you can't deny.
Well, and then you got the young tourists who are like, I need to go for a swim now. You were just in there. I know. I'm just going to stay out here like, belly deep for a while. I just, oh, yes, you're an American. All right. Lay on your stomach. What are you going to do? Drag me around. We'll dig a trench.
Oh, too funny.
Well, on that note, a little comedy run.
You can Control Alt Delete that.
Yeah. Bloop.
Never happened.
Never happened.
Speaking of which, as long as we're sharing stuff, have you guys seen Craig Shoemaker's stand-up routine, Dadology?
No, but sounds.
Write it
Dadology.
down.
Oh
Watch
my
it.
gosh.
Laughter is one of those amazing, amazing. And then you'll figure out where I came up with Control Alt Delete, erase.
So what's his name again?
Craig Shoemaker.
Craig Shoemaker. Actually, on that note, you said Daddyology, right?
Dadology. Yep.
Dadology.
Yeah.
Check out Joy Coy.
Joy Coy.
Joe Coy
Joe Coy.
on Netflix.
Yep.
He has, speaking of dads, because he's a kind of a younger dad, but he's got a teenage son, and oh my gosh. And also humor about him as a son and his mom. It really, really, really funny.
Right on.
His name is actually Jacob. I believe it's Jacob. No, it's Joseph. Joseph Coy, but he goes by Joe Coy. And
Right
he has
on.
several specials like in Berlin and Hawaii, and I can't remember where else. They're on Netflix, and oh my gosh, you will laugh.
I love stand-up, but
I do too.
that's one of my I've got a whole routine that I've written that I have to get up in front of people and actually do one of these here days. It's one of my things to accomplish, and I've
Next
already
Tuesday
come
at
up.
4? Perfect.
Yeah, I've already come up with a title called "Thanks for My Therapy." That's right. I listen to everybody else's shit. Now you get to listen to mine. Yes, but I'm still going to get paid. Yes. Hey, it covers all sorts of stuff, like the fact that my father was a truck driver. He should have been a doctor. The amount of shit he could fix blew my ADD. Did you know my father had the cure for ADD when I was a kid? I knew I had it. I mean, I was a squirrel on meth running around with my head ding, 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 ding. And Dad came home from driving after 2 weeks, and he saw me, and just like that, diagnosed it and said, "Boy, get your ass over here." Right up alongside the head, that ADD popped right out. I was cured. Just like that. And he could spot when I was having a reoccurrence from across the yard and be like, hey, had that magic medication in it. And it was just like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Start twitching.
I'm just getting the ADD out my feet because I don't want it smacked out my ear. Same cure when you were in the back seat. It's amazing how my father could barely tie his shoes because of his stiff back, but the flexibility given to a parent from the front seat to the back seat, rubber arm. I know where they got that for the cartoon, the rubber arm effect, because my father could touch me in that back corner, spin my head around 3 times, and then follow up with, and be quiet before I come back there and give you something else to cry about. Oh yeah.
He's a Alaska man.
Yeah. Uh-huh. X-ray vision.
I think Jonathan shared a Ken experience because he's laughing.
Oh yeah. X-ray vision. Moms have that. That ain't nothing new. That's not a cartoon thing. That's moms. Back of the head. Through the house on a quiet day. Put that shit down. Okay. Go out and play. Don't come back till the street lights come on. Free range parenting. I survived.
Free range parenting.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. No cell phones, bicycles. Although I will tell you, up in a village of 187 people. I grew up with 300 eyes on me at all times. If I farted in the right wind, they knew we had broccoli for supper. And it would be on the party line just like that. Did you know that the Z-Bells had broccoli last night? I didn't even know that was in really? Are they still, can you still get good broccoli around here? That must have been that canned stuff. Oh, that would explain it. Yes, that young boy, yeah. I'm going to call him over. I got some wallpaper I need taken down. I'm pretty sure.
Started
pretty
feeling
sure.
already. Tell this evil boy to fart upwind.
He did. I was spreading manure and it hit me. I don't know how. He needs to go to the doctor. No, his father's got that figured out.
He died again.
Hey, wait till his dad gets home. You tell him. You tell him it's a down hit, right on the back part here. Clear that colon right out. I've seen him do it. Thank you for my therapy. What else would you like to hear about? Yes, that's. Mm-hmm. I learned languaging while I was working at the mechanic shop. There's a lot of stuff that can be learned. We had a couple of twin sisters, spinsters.
I'm in Cheesa?
Yeah, last name was Blake's. And they always brought their car in to have us work on it. And one day, Andy told me I needed to breed the Blakes in front of the ladies. And I had to keep a straight face for 5 whole minutes. My butt puckered so hard I could have opened a pop bottle. I was giggling so hard inside. I had abs of steel. I could have taken a shot from a .45 caliber this far away and it would have bounced off because of the amount of pressure I had inside to keep from losing it in front of town folk that knew my parents.
As if it worked out.
Oh no, they were nice old ladies. If I would have lost it right then and there, Grandma would have found out. And my grandmother wrote the gossip column in the local newspaper. That's history right there. I couldn't get away with nothing. No, I mean, we're talking the true, actual gossip column. Mr. and Mrs. Olson were the dinner residents over at the Anderson house, and they had roast beef and pickles and mashed potatoes, and afterwards had a wonderful dessert that Mrs. Anderson made from the apples from this year. And then they played a great game of whist. Remember the part where I talked about the so what factor?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, back then that filter was really low. They tell me anything. Tell me what did the Johnsons have for supper on Tuesday? I'm pretty sure it was those sausage links from the locker. They're really good. They did a good batch this day. I think it was probably Mr. Olson's cow that he brought in. That thing was good and fat when they brought it in. Uh-huh. Just saying. Welcome to my therapy. You're welcome.
Oxytocin bath.
Yeah. Now that I got your face hurting, just wait until I make you laugh so hard that you pee, just that little bit. That's where it's like, hey. Comedians are like, yes, I did it. And the ladies are like, I've had 3 kids. I sneeze and whatever. Way to go, big guy. Uh-huh. And that's where people that go to concerts could really learn from older people. I mean, why do you go into movies? Who wants to leave in the middle of the movie to take a pee?
No one.
We have Depends now. Depends. When your friends look at you and they're like, dude, you've had 12 beers and you haven't gone to the bathroom once. Don't you ever pee? Depends.
Ew, TMI.
Yeah, I like that. TMI, and inside you're going, but I did pay $90 for that frickin' concert. I mean, $2 pair
Oh.
Depends. Nobody has to know. Jonathan's going, your therapy is going to cost me therapy, dude.
Now we're in toilet humor officially.
Well, told you. Welcome to my therapy.
I was gonna say when the Depends are walking at 2 a.m. at Walmart.
Ew, what a visual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I say I worked the overnight shift, so yeah.
In yoga pants, and you're like,
He's got some good stuff.
either the shitter's full or you're wearing Depends, or both. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a shitter that wasn't there that should have been, or something.
Well, that's when they walk by and you're like, shitter's full. Broccoli.
Yep. Yeah, you work different aisles.
Yeah. And they always want to come and ask you questions because it's 2 in the frickin' morning. I can't get no one to help me here. Well, we saw you coming in on the surveillance camera. I drew the short straw. Shit.
You come in every Thursday and ask for the same can of peas.
Yeah, but are they fresh? Are they? I want to know, are they fresh? The wife likes the fresh peas.
From the back of the shelf all the way on the top.
Yes.
Even though they're canned.
Well, didn't you just put these out? You put these out like last week, didn't you? I mean, like these are a week old. Oh my God.
Right?
In a can.
Oh
God.
Heaven help anybody that logs in late.
Jumps into the short
Yeah, wait till we start posting this shit and people are like, I'm just going to fast forward to the end, see what it was like. That's what this was about, really? Depends at Walmart looking for peas. Fresh ones, though. Let us not miss that fact.
YouTube. YouTube video we called
Welcome to my therapy.
Walmart and a can of peas. We're gonna go, what the heck? We click on this.
Excuse me.
Really more
Excuse me.
than this.
How might these peas be? I'm just curious. The wife wants the fresh peas.
Del Monte or the Great Value brand? You know,
Yeah. The Great Value brand doesn't hold up as well through a straw. What? Are you sucking or blowing? Hey now, that's kind of personal. But I did clear the entire room with a Del Monte once, right in the back of the head. She didn't go out on a second date with me, so there. Told me I didn't have any aim. I'm like, whatever.
I like closing the loops of your jokes.
That's a different product. Aim. No. Terrible, terrible.
Uh-huh. Funny part is how much stuff you're thinking about right now. Like, I wonder if they made a Depends out of N95, if it would filter out farts enough to get away with it.
Methane resistant filter.
Could I get the Depends with the charcoal filter? My husband has terrible gas. Terrible.
Oh, God.
No, ma'am. You just go over to the
Organic.
HVAC
charcoal.
aisle and you get one of those household filters, and you just drop that baby in there with them. Lemony Fresh.
Lemony fresh.
Well, if you get the citrus one, it ends up smelling like citrus, and then you're just like, you're not sure what's going on. It's so much. But you get to do a great impression of Sean Connery. Yes. Took a dump in the bathroom and I sprayed some air freshener out. It smells like citrus in there.
We definitely got a dose of levity today.
Definitely do stand up.
Oh, now you guys see what part of my brain, where those squirrels run off to? That's the party room. They're like, hey! What is this? I don't know. It's been there since the 80s, dude. Okay.
Party room.
Oh,
The gray room, party room, the garden.
I think only one of you, no, I think two of you got the Instagram reel of the dude from the UK who was covering the news about 8 tons of what was it? Bunch of drugs and hash, and it was burning.
What?
The giggle he has lets me know, yeah, he's there.
But not really.
And it's burning. He's like, and right behind me, they're burning 8 tons of heroin and coke and ash. No. Start again. I'm like, wow, if you could just package that, it would be illegal immediately. But the abs you could have off of a couple hours a day of that, wow.
Strengthen your core.
Yeah, it's kind of like watching children running around and wishing, God, I wish we could just bottle that energy, but they won't. Do you know why? It will kill the normal adult in the smallest amount. Can you imagine taking the energy from a 2-year-old that just woke up from a nap, had a 5-hour energy, and you could mow the lawn with a fingernail clipper right after you wash the garage with a toothbrush. Just saying, you guys can see it now, can't you? Uh-huh. All right, I've taken you 8:15. Thank you
To all
for
good places. You've taken us to all good places.
Yeah.
thank you for joining in my therapy.
And on a high note.
Yes. Whee! You all have a fantabulous evening, a wonderful week. I love you all, appreciate you being part
You
of
all
my
too.
tribe and my world and all that's included, and looking to hearing about some fabulous podcasts. And let's see, what are we going over next week? You guys can hold me to this unless you think of something else. Timeline manipulation with energy injection, and deep dive into 3-chair process.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye. Take care.
Sleep
y'all.
well.
Great seeing you. Sleep well.
See you, everybody.
Ciao for now.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
See you.
Bye, guys.